Hey everybody, thanks for coming back and joining us today at the TFP. Ellis and I are very excited as we have a special guest here. Columnist many of you know, opinion, editorial, Ron Hart. How would you describe yourself, Ron, to these folks?
Southern libertarian.
Okay.
Columnist.
How does that differ from
humorist?
What is that as Yankee libertarians? How does that?
Yeah, it's a little different. You know, our view is smoke all the crack you want, but don't expect me to pay for your rehab. That's the idea. And don't expect me not to shoot you if you steal my lawnmower. So do what you want to do, as long as you don't bother anybody else.
Yeah.
I think you'll find Southerners, especially in Appalachia, all the way down to North Florida, very much that way. Just get off my front porch, leave me alone, government, etc. So
I actually had a story about that today. Cleveland.
Yeah, a gentleman in Cleveland defending his home. 3 armed robbers came in. He killed one, wounded another, and the third ran away.
And you reported on that.
Yes,
we did.
Those usually get buried. They usually get buried.
Oh, it'll be buried in the paper product. Don't worry, it'll be inside Metro. But
not with us.
But people were. This is the same apartment complex where there was a triple stabbing earlier, so it's a little bit violent over there.
Right.
A little bit.
No, good place to have a gun.
Right.
Yes,
right.
yes, it is. As one guy found out today.
So, your focus, a lot of the time, politics, obviously.
Right.
So, we have reviewed your latest, and it's out in several publications. When?
Starting today.
Okay. So, first of all, let's tell people where they can find your work. Starting with here.
The Chattanooga Times Free Press.
On Fridays, I believe. Friday on the right side of the paper, I believe, and which libertarians can be either way, obviously. It's a weird place we are. I've always never fully understood why the left does not embrace us more, because we're kind of pro-gay marriage.
Socially, yeah.
Yeah, pro-gay marriage, against the Iraq wars, against the NSA, big Edward Snowden fans.
Me too.
Yeah, that type of thing. The only difference is we want to balance the budget, and that's the real difference. Is they have a hard time with that. We're against the Iraq wars, against invasions, wars of choice, all the things that really, and we're pro-choice. Which is usually the major dividing issue among people in politics, and libertarians are right there with the left on that. But somehow we're hated because we're not fully bought in.
Especially, it tends to be more socially conservative in its conservatism, I find. So, I mean, you're right. I mean, even more so here, you could probably be, if they could print something right down the middle of the paper, maybe.
Right, somewhere in the middle. Yeah, socially, and the Republicans get in trouble with the social issues. The first thing they do is want to go after gay marriage or things like that. And if you're a Republican, theoretically, you're minimal government, minimal intrusion, individual responsibility. Well, except for these areas where we're going to kind of tell you what to do.
Put some asterisks in there.
You can't have it both ways. It doesn't flow logically.
It seems with this election, though, the presidential election, we all know what happened. People weren't really in the gray. They were for Hillary or Trump, you know.
Trump, interestingly, I learned is a populist. Actually, he's not technically he's not technically a conservative. If you look at the way he handles himself.
His voters were
right. The social issues never came up. They became one of attacking each other on a personal level, and the issues never got vetted in this election. It was interesting, which probably is an advantage of Trump. Yeah. The Democrats call everybody racist and xenophobic, and that's their campaign is. And then his was, I'm on Twitter. I'm an interesting cat. I can't believe I'm in this. Someone's like a bar bet got him in it, and he's like, oh my God, I'm in it. I'm gonna finish it out.
Wouldn't shock me to learn that.
And then he basically, I think actually his core pretty libertarian. He was pro-gay marriage, pro-choice up until a few years ago. I don't think anyone changes that late in life. But he realizes to run for the Republican primary gauntlet of Ohio and Iowa and Middle America, you've got to be pro-life, and he phones that in, and hopefully it'll never come up as an issue.
Yeah, let's hope not. So your column, I'm going to read a little bit from today, the beginning. So you come down on the Clintons a little bit.
Oh,
often?
Really?
Yeah, I've noticed. Yeah, okay, so we're going to start.
I'm going to miss them. I'm going to miss them. See, Obama you couldn't make fun of because the race wall goes up. Everything's racist for you. The Clintons, you got. I didn't know.
Just a woman. I mean.
Well, we got Billy Bob.
That's a diversity group.
Yeah, I was wondering what would be more funny for a humor writer like myself would be Bill in the East Wing with nothing to do with his time, or Trump in the West Wing with a lot to do. And both are going to be pretty funny.
That's true.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. Yeah. Bill always found some things to do with his time, right?
Yeah.
He always stayed busy.
You'll probably be hitting on the picture of Jacqueline Kennedy in the hallway. He's kind of getting old. A little bit losing it.
Yes. All right, so what Ron Hart says today in your column. There's a bright side to every loss. The Clintons can now spend more time saving the world with their Clinton Foundation, which was in no way a self-enrichment / pay-for-play scheme. Okay, so that's just this. There's more. This is loaded.
And you got a chance to discuss this recently, right?
Yeah, on CNN I got called out when I kind of brought it up with a liberal pundit named Bill Press.
Yeah.
And he basically said that's outlandish to first of all, when the Clintons left office, they were dead broke. Their net worth is over 100 million, probably short of 200 million right now.
Missing meals.
Yeah, Al Gore the same way. Al Gore, his last presidential filing when he ran against Bush, his net worth was 700,000. Now he's tickling 200 million. He's never had a job. He's always been a public servant. You know, imagine how much money he would make if he wasn't a share the wealth Democrat, you know. But what I come down on, and we talked about this with economics, is the crony capitalism aspect of it. I mean, you've only been in politics. You didn't start a company. You didn't, you know. That's not the way you make money in America. You don't shake down corporations for cover. And I think that's a lot of times what they're doing. And with the Clintons, you had a sitting Secretary of State. You had an ex-president. You had a woman, according to the New York Times, had a 96% chance of becoming president. And then you had this foundation that people, nefarious world leaders and countries would bundle money through Canada. That hasn't been talked about much. Through Canada, where they don't have to reveal the donor. He would bundle it and give it to the Clinton Foundation, and they would use it for very questionable things, whether they were really doing a lot of good or not. I don't know. With 330 million coming in, you'd think it would do a lot. Charity Navigator for years wouldn't rate them. A lot of their cronies.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, wouldn't rate them for years until recently.
Why could that be?
They just don't. They don't give away but 6 or 7% of the money. They do everything else in house. But Oman Abedin and all their friends are on the board. It's one big party with jets flying everywhere, and it's a great way. It's a great gig if you can get it.
So typically with Charity Navigator, you have program expenses, administrative expenses, and fundraising expenses, and they like to see like a smaller amount go toward administrative expenses and fundraising, and a larger amount go toward the actual program expenses.
Right.
And that's usually how they rate those things.
Wounded Warriors didn't do well with that. They look at them real hard. How much money came in? What did you spend on administration? What are your salaries? What's really going to go? What's really going to charity?
If all your money is going to the salary of the executive director, that's usually, they don't look kindly on that.
Right.
The IRS doesn't care for it.
And things like Hillary's wedding dress and things were paid for by that foundation. There's some things on there that are very questionable, and it still has not been transparent what went on. The point is, it may have cost her the election. A lot of people saw through that
because of all this WikiLeaks stuff that came out, or
you think it's the how much do you think the Comey investigation hurt in the middle of the voting there?
I think people had already formed their opinion, like you said, on both of them. People knew she had a well-worn path of kind of cronyism and a little bit gray background. I think she's just wholly unlikable. And I'm for a woman president, too. I just wish it was Condoleezza Rice or someone else. I mean, I think it's divided by woman, and I think the real issue are your beliefs, right or left. I mean, I think she would take the country in the wrong direction with a lot of regulations and taxes. This president is the only president in the history of all presidents who hasn't presided over 1 year of 3% growth. Growth gets you out of a lot of issues, including debt. So the stock market's reacted well to Trump, although I didn't vote for Trump. I voted for Gary Johnson. I think what he's doing in general is good, decreasing regulation and basically lowering taxes, where the economy will grow and these companies will keep leaving, start leaving the country all the time.
I want to come back to Gary Johnson, but I want to finish this thought on the Clinton Foundation, because you were making the point that perhaps some of this money that was coming into the foundation was there because people, in expectation of a Clinton presidency, were hoping to maybe get a favor down the road. That maybe they had some business before the United States that they hoped would be adjudicated in their favor, and so that's why they were giving this money. And so the people said that's outlandish, that's crazy. So you've now issued a challenge. They made $330 million.
Last filing, the Clinton Foundation took in $330 million. I said for every $1 million less than $330, he has to pay me $1,000. For anything above $330 million, I'll pay him $1,000.
So if their revenues go up now that they have all this time on their hands,
a lot of time.
If they're able to spend more time fundraising and doing good, you will actually donate money to the Clinton Foundation. If they do worse, the case being that now that there's no expectation of her being in the White House, there would be no pay for play.
Right. If it wasn't a pay-for-play scheme, then it should go up.
It should go up.
Right. Now they're freed up with their time. And Chelsea, they were seen recently shopping in New York City, Chelsea, Bill, and the grandbabies. They spend a lot of time together these days because they're afraid if one leaves, he may go to the feds and turn state's evidence.
That would be an uncomfortable Thanksgiving, I guess.
No,
Sure.
I think
Yeah, you say this ordeal has caused the Clintons to become closer.
Yes.
Hillary, Bill, Chelsea, and her husband were seen near Chelsea's $15 million starter
Her starter apartment.
in the Big Apple, shopping together. They all stick together now, like us, right?
Yeah, I think
with
that's
our
sweet.
15 mil.
It's
Yeah,
nice. It's nice to
yeah.
see families grow closer
Taking my
together.
drink and all
sorry.
that.
Did I actually sip out of it?
Probably, and you're
Oh,
sick.
enjoy your cold.
Thank you,
Sick,
thank
great.
you. So they all stick together now, much like Ellis and I, fearful that if one family member breaks loose, they might go to the FBI Director James Comey and turn state's evidence on others. And then you went on to make your deal.
Yeah.
If they'll give to your foundation $1,000 for every million less than $330 million they raise in future years.
Yeah.
If you will. Okay. Cool.
So this
All
is
right,
so Bill
great.
Press, if who was sort of clashing with you a little bit about this, he's welcome to take up the gauntlet on this challenge,
to donate. It's a challenge to him if he wants
Yeah.
to do it, or anyone else really.
or anybody who feels
Yeah,
like
I'll
the
short them
Clinton
330.
Foundation.
There's no way people are going to give money. They're going to back off the thing. It was all pay for play. And think about it. You don't have to give up your name. You get a full tax deduction, where if you donate to the campaign, $2,500 is not deductible. So you can donate $5 million, cost you $3 million after tax. You get a full deduction, and you kind of semi own the Clintons. Half of the people that met with Hillary Clinton while she was Secretary of State were donors to the Clinton Foundation. And so all through the campaign, Bill Press and the left and everyone else said, oh, it doesn't matter. They're just doing great work here. There's no pay-for-play scheme. So if there's no pay-for-play scheme, it should go up now. She's got plenty of time on her hands.
Well, and I wonder what she'll do. Has she said what she'll do now that she's got a little? I know they're working to, I guess, recount some of the votes, but that doesn't look like it's going
They're
anywhere.
not going their way.
So what do you think about that? Let's get into Russia.
Russia. I think, it's funny, if Obama with the reset button or Hillary had had a great relationship with an adversary, they would be winning the Nobel Peace Prize.
Do you know this person?
You could get along. I do not.
No.
And
Another journalist calling,
Sorry.
hey, Rory Johnston, Nashville.
Yeah, we're on.
We're
what,
doing
are you doing
something,
calling
okay?
us? Can you not see
watch
what busy?
TV. Watch TV.
Yeah.
And so, so they, so basically, what were we talking about?
Russia.
Sorry.
Russia.
votes.
Oh, Russia.
Russia.
Yeah. All right, so Russia.
We're
so
going to
Putin.
get out of the Clinton. We're going to go to the Trump.
Russia.
now.
Let's go with Trump.
With Russia.
I don't
and
think
the
he had a big
CIA.
play. Yeah, the CIA.
He's saying, like, still good guys, but just not for that.
Well, the Russians. Okay, so Trump's dealt with Vladimir. Shirtless or not, I'm not really sure if he's shirtless.
They rode bears together.
Yeah, they both have huge egos. So they rode bears together. They met some form or fashion. First of all, didn't hack the DNC as much as they hacked Podesta's personal Gmail account, right? And the press doing their job should have revealed a lot of these things going on. CNN feeding questions, to the DNC to help. It enraged really the Bernie Sanders supporters. Initially, because they felt like Bernie got a raw deal, and he probably did. He won 20 some odd states. I mean,
Poor
he was
Bernie.
Yeah,
I
poor
saw
Bernie.
him on CNN yesterday. They're doing something with Michael Moore, and they're labeling like in the line of Trump or something. I don't know what they were doing, but
Yeah.
he looks sad.
Well, he's 74 years old. What are you going to do? I mean, he's got. Maybe another run in him. It's kind of funny how the 74-year-old guy is like a teen heartthrob on campus.
That's right.
Sweet.
He's going to forgive all the.
He's the
student loan
virile
debt,
newcomer on the scene. The 74-year-old.
young whippersnapper making his way up. And the real truth with the Democrats right now, let's see about the Russia. Russia, I don't think had much of an influence. Comey had to do what he had to do. I think Petraeus had to plea on his email scandal. Hillary setting up a private server. If that's not forethought, he said it was not forethought. The reason he didn't press charges. Setting up a server in your basement is forethought, and to me it is.
Yeah.
America didn't like what they saw. The hacked emails. They also hacked Colin Powell's email. Remember that? He had some things that he said pretty negative, both about Trump and Hillary. In his email, so there was on both sides. Maybe there was more found on the Democrat side. I have no
He did
sense
not
of
get
Assange.
nearly as much as Hillary did with his emails.
Well, maybe
Colin
there wasn't as
Powell.
much in there.
Well, there's really two issues here, though, are there not? There's the issue. I don't think maybe the Russians hacked some emails and pulled out some stuff, but I think the bigger issue is did they hack the voting machine,
Right.
so they alter
Right.
the vote.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen any
and
evidence
what,
of that.
What
That's
exactly
kind of
do we know exactly what the CIA is saying?
Well, they're saying they attempted to influence, and nobody's seen this memo.
Attempted.
No,
as far as
they
I
just said
know.
their
Right.
opinion. There was some hacking going
Yeah.
on, and then they made it. Of course, every espionage agency in the world, of which we have 20 of them, separate agencies within the United States, which we needed 2 probably. And also, I worked in D.C. After Georgetown, the program there. all these agencies are rivals of each other.
Yeah.
So one will step up and say one thing, they'll contradict each other. And Comey had pressure from internal pressure to do what he did with Hillary and vice versa. There's a lot of politics, and they're all coming hat in hand wanting a budget to be paid for in the budget. So
it's always about money.
It's always about money. And I tell you, getting back to always about money with Putin, it is about money. He's worth $2 or $3 billion, maybe
Probably
20
one of the richest
billion.
guys in the world.
Yeah, Castro died worth $1 billion. That's pretty good for a socialist. You know, with no government work, and they forget about this, a really good pension. So healthcare's good. So anyway, so they die with these big money things. Back to Al Gore being worth $700,000 and being worth $200 million today. I don't like crony capitalists. I don't care what you are. You know, just don't make money off me and the government. There's a great line at the end of this column about it's a true story. Northeastern Alabama congressman was running for office, and back when Republicans were winning the South, Nixon times, etc., the Republicans were winning the South, and this congressman a Democrat had a challenge for the first time in his life in North Alabama. And he told the constituency, look, I've been here 8 years. You're like this guy. I said, I stole all I need. You're like this guy. He's got to start all over.
Yeah, he's got to start.
Right.
It's going to cost you.
That's sort of honesty that people appreciate.
It's a good thing Trump already has his money.
I do like the idea of someone already having their money. Cause I like Bob Corker. I think Corker's he's made his money, and he's a terrific guy. He represents Tennessee well. Loves Chattanooga. He's a terrific.
He's very engaged with the community, and Ellis and I have talked about that, about some actual local politicians. And now, you know, he's much bigger than that, but some local politicians here don't engage with the community, and we're in this size city, and I think that's a mistake. I think Corker plays it right that way.
Yeah,
he says hi to everybody. If he goes in a
govern by
restaurant,
news
he goes
release.
talk to everybody.
Yeah, he's good.
Exactly.
He's very available. He knows where he believes in. Probably should have been Secretary of State. Who knows? But you know, on the Russian thing, if you're cutting deals with Russia, it's all financial. It's all Putin. I'd rather have a financial person dealing with than a lifelong diplomat.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why the Democrats are all of a sudden so hawkish about having relationships around the world. You know what? You know, it worked out pretty well in World War II when we teamed up with Russia. I mean, he's very powerful. He can maybe help us with ISIS. He doesn't like the rise of radical Islam in his country either. It threatens his situation. He has pockets of it. In fact, the Boston Chechen were
they were from over there.
Russian, and actually he told us about them, and our multitude of agencies fumbled the intel. So I'm giving Trump a chance. I don't see anything in the near term that's a problematic. You hate him, you love him. You're sure he's got a big ego. You know, he's going to be hard to deal with. His tweeting got around the media. Very interesting. You know, 70-year-old person all of a sudden figured out a way around the media where his message went directly, unfiltered, not through CBS and CNN, to the people, and it's maybe cleaner, nicer that way. You know, you're either going to like him or the problem he's going to have. We've been 8 years, 3 months into Obama's presidency, the recession ended. We've been almost 8 years without a recession. We have one every 5 to 6 years. There's going to be a recession. It's just going to happen, and it's going to be on his watch probably. So if he can endure that, it won't be as bad as the last one, but there will be a recession.
Yeah.
You just don't go 10, 12, 15 years without a recession.
Hopefully we don't have the same imbalances, that we had at the other time where such a big correction is needed.
Right.
In a way,
That's going to hurt.
Right, and it hurt most people that owned houses because the housing market cratered this time. It was a little different recession. And I worked at Goldman Sachs for years, and I know he's hiring a lot of Goldman Sachs people, and Goldman Sachs is like Exxon, a couple of words that, that used to be Halliburton, words that the left just immediately but they have very bright people, and I think Mnuchin, who I used to work with, is going to be fine at doing it. They're this Maslow hierarchy of needs stage of life, so they've made enough money, and they're looking to do something kind of altruistic and make a name for themselves. Same thing Trump's doing probably. In his life, he's got enough money. He's going to turn it over to his kids. Unwinding that's going to be difficult. He'll be carped upon by the press as to everything they do, as to whether it's insider trading or whatever. But the truth is, he's made enough money. I mean, $2 billion, he can get to the barn.
He's got a jet
He doesn't
with
seem
gold-plated.
to care what people think.
Which is endearing in a way.
Yeah.
I think that appeals to a lot of people.
I think
Obviously. Yeah. There was a Democratic meeting here for Tennessee Democrats last night over at Bessie Smith near our building that I was covering, sharing the information with our political reporter in Nashville, Andy Scher.
Right.
The state chair, her name is Mary Mancini, she was there. But people were, interestingly enough, Democrats from all over the state saying that they thought that Trump provided hope and Hillary didn't.
Right.
And whereas Obama certainly had that going for him. What do you think about that? Like not running on hope.
Obama had a positive message his first time around.
He was a happy warrior.
Yeah, he was a happy warrior. Hillary's just a cantankerous, mean, not particularly nice person in reality. I mean, I've heard numerous stories. And Bill Clinton, God bless him, he's the best. He's absolutely best. His program we were at Georgetown, we go back one day, when he was president playing golf at Robert Trent Jones Golf Course. It's just we're playing, and he's on the golf course. You see him there with the Secret Service. Four of us in our foursome. 3 of us went over to get our picture taken with him. This is before cell phone cameras had those little
Hillary
cameras.
takes a lot of the selfies. I took a selfie with Hillary. I did.
It's a little easier today.
Yeah, she took my phone too.
So Clinton's here on the golf course, and one guy hates him. He's a hard right, John Bircher, hard right guy. Wouldn't go over with us. Take our picture with Bill Clinton. Smile. Secret Service guy takes our picture. He says, "Well, how about your buddy over? Sees him 50 yards away.
Oh.
How about your buddy?" It's
Observant.
He doesn't like you. He doesn't particularly care for you much. Bill Clinton says, "Hand me the camera." Hands him the camera. Bill Clinton walks 50 yards, taps him down his shoulder, says, "Can I have my picture taken with you?" You can't teach that. I mean, Clinton was the absolute best. In my personal view, charismatic leaders,
He's ballsy.
Obama and Clinton, are great salesmen of a bad ideology. I think the libertarian, conservative, minimal government ideology is the best ideology. So, libertarian in its purest form would be the best for me, but the closest thing we got right now is what Trump's doing.
And maybe if we can circle back around, you said you voted for Gary Johnson.
I was feeling the Johnson.
Yeah, no, we great bumper stickers. Yeah. We had
saw one here.
and I'm sure everybody, a lot of people, libertarians especially, talked about, okay, well, I want to vote my conscience. I want to vote for a libertarian, but is there also a voting, do you vote for the most libertarian of the people who are likely to win? And this was a particularly tough election because you had a Democrat, a populist.
In a tight election, if I was in a state that was 50-50, I probably would have voted for Trump, just to keep but Georgia, if Trump loses Georgia, it's sayonara. I mean, it wasn't going to happen, so you have to worry about Pennsylvania, Wisconsin to win it. Georgia goes that way. So if I had the vote between the two, Hillary and Trump, I would have voted for Trump, obviously. But Johnson, I just think the libertarians, if they get to 5%, get some federal funding, they have the better message, they need a little bit better messenger. You can't just be for, 5 times more newspapers endorsed Johnson than they did Trump. I mean, across the country. They found him the most palatable choice.
What about Stein?
Jill Stein, the Green Party?
Can't get my head around that. I think that a huge regulatory environment in America is just not a good idea. And I'm not a global warming denier, but I just don't know enough to think.
You can't be a denier.
No, I'm not a denier, but you got to believe 3 things about global warming. A, this is happening. I lived in Memphis for a long time. The Mississippi River was formed in the Ice Age, when the glaciers came down and formed the Mississippi River. And the delta's flat, the reason Mississippi. So that was before SUVs. So I think the Earth has temperature changes that are natural over El Nino, what they call it, over time. That could be it, if not. Secondly, you got to believe that you can do something about it.
It's both.
Yeah, so you really believe that you can keep the seas from rising and things like that. And are you willing to stifle the economy? I think it's just a tax and spend scheme by the government. Look what Al Gore's made off of it. I've been on panels with global warming professors, and if you ask them about global warming, of course, it's all in the echo chamber of the universities and here. And also some of the emails that have been hacked or released, they know it's a scam in England. They said, well, the numbers aren't really shaping up that way. I just don't think, by the way, I don't really care. I look in shorts, so I don't really care.
Yeah, I've always wondered to what extent, the temperature, what do they call it, climate change now, they used to call it global warming. Before that, it was global cooling.
Right.
If you go back to the 70s.
The climate change.
Yeah.
Climate change covers both ways. You
now
can't
we
be
just call
wrong
it
that way.
climate
You
change.
can't be wrong
Okay.
that way, yeah.
So we went from global cooling to global warming to climate change, but I've always wondered to what extent has that been happening, before humans came on the scene and the Industrial Revolution and all that sort of stuff. But
one guy told me that the problem with the temperature gauges, they used to put them on the edge of towns in the old days when they started doing the temperature things, and now the towns have grown over where they're under asphalt. In airports, some of them are the end of airports that have been lengthened, so there's a lot of heat coming off the asphalt. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I thought we could do something about it. There's a misnomer among people about the left and the right. This guy, the Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, which sounds like a movie name. Rex Tillerson.
I like it.
Is he's going to be Exxon's a bad thing. He was an Eagle Scout, a Boy Scout. I was a Boy Scout. The notion that the right, which is middle America, you see the red map, right? That we don't care about the environment. We love the environment. We're out there more than the left. And these people in New York City going up and down these subways aren't in the environment. We are. We're Boy Scouts, we're hunters, we're fishermen. We care. The question becomes, we go about it differently as to what we can do. The global warming thing is, it's more about you being compassionate and thinking you can do something about everything else. I don't think there's any reality.
And informed. A lot of people just aren't informed.
Yeah, but I think, and I'm willing to listen to any argument on global warming coming from certainly a balanced panel of people. And if we really thought taxing that many people to get there would help. I would certainly look at it. But right now in England, for example, they bought the Paris Accord, and they agreed to reduce emissions about 20% or some number like that, and their electric power bills are up 50%. You can't do it in America with the average middle class incomes down. You can't raise. Obamacare didn't work because they raised everybody's health care bills. These theoretical ideas that you work out, at Yale in a lab one night, you think you can pull an all-nighter and figure out global warming or healthcare. It just doesn't. These are theories.
It's like
that
a
just
Jerry
don't
Maguire
work.
moment. Yeah.
It just doesn't work, and the free markets are much more powerful than a bunch of people who think they're smarter than everybody else. It works in theory, maybe.
Theory, yeah. And then you have to go up against the Republican Congress, though, who amended the Affordable Care Act like 60 plus times or something.
It is still pretty much what it was, though. It was in play. They haven't done much. They tried to repeal it 60 times, which they didn't do. They didn't amend it, and they continue to fund it.
Okay.
Yeah, but everybody's insurance rates go up. What they basically did in the Affordable Care Act is they kicked 5 million people off of their insurance. They made them go through the portal. And then they said, well, we expanded insurance for 15, 20 million people. All they did is push them to Medicaid, which was already there. Medicaid was already there. So by going through the portal, some average person didn't realize they qualified for Medicaid. Went on Medicaid, and they said, oh, we've insured more people.
No, I mean, it's a mess. People are picking the wrong plans, and now it's just not affordable. That's the problem. That's what
we were talking about that yesterday.
I was talking about that for myself.
It's
I
not
mean,
affordable.
it's ridiculous.
I would like to do some things at the doctor from time to time, but I'm kind of like, well,
can't go.
Maybe I'll just be okay,
or
maybe I'll die. I don't know.
Your knee is fine, Lesley.
Why it went up is all the regulations, which he's trying to unwind. Men had to have ovarian, had to have like gynecological coverage. Men did. Women had to have like prostate.
Yeah, I'm paying for the pill as part of my, in case I need to start taking that.
The only person who really benefited.
You're welcome.
So the women have to get prostate exams, and men have to get gynecological exams. The only person that really benefited was Cher Bono. So,
You gotta have
as far as I can tell.
Playing both sides, huh?
She's the big one in this whole deal. But and also,
it's a mess.
Putting your kids on there to 26, there's something they teach in economics. There's no free lunch. So
we're talking about this yesterday.
The insurance companies will price that in, and these layabout kids, that are pretty healthy till 26. Yeah, I want something for free. I want my student loans forgiven. I want this. I want that. At some point you got to pay for things. You got to be a big boy.
What does Trump say about all that?
He's going to unwind it and send it. Well, what they didn't do in a disingenuous manner when Pelosi and these passages, they didn't do cross-state insurance.
Yes.
They did no tort reform. So if you really cared about reducing costs, and my daughter's a doctor. You're in Chattanooga.
You do a lot of defensive medicine as a doctor. Basically, we have to get this extra test. We're going to do this extra CAT scan because if you don't, and there's some lump there that you weren't looking for,
the plaintiff's attorney.
Guess how many $1 million you're going to be on the hook for?
Right.
Once people
And
get a hold of it.
insurance also wants you to have all of this pre-testing before you can actually get any procedure.
Yeah.
The doctor will. It's just there's
Now,
so
they did
much.
get rid of some of the pre-existing condition stuff as part of Obamacare, which does cut down.
I
a
mean,
little
did you
bit
know
of
like maternity used to be considered pre-existing? Being able to become pregnant was a pre-existing condition.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
It's true.
Well, I don't know how each insurance. Theoretically, in a free market, you would shop bad insurance companies out of the market, and the better ones who gave you the most coverage.
We couldn't do that because you could not have. I couldn't go to Arkansas, for instance, and shop for maybe a better insurance deal there, or Georgia or Florida, because they're all constrained by state borders. I can only go to.
I know people who have gotten insurance in California who live here, and somehow they're doing it that way.
They're about to. You shouldn't have said that because they're probably about to get.
I did not
raided.
reveal any.
Yeah.
I also know people who vote absentee who live here and have.
I'm
residences.
shocked to hear about
Justin
voting.
Timberlake voting in Memphis.
Did
Justin
you?
Timberlake
You and a lot
voted,
of people.
a picture of him doing it.
Okay.
But, 0 income tax Tennessee, 13% California. I like Justin.
But that's been
Met him
that'll be, and we still haven't seen a plan on how he's going to do that or what.
People are used to things. I mean, it's hard to take things away from them, and so the Republicans say therefore that kids are free to 26. That's fine. It'll be priced in. It'll be in your number, and so insurance companies have big buildings, and the real facts of the matter is when Trump got elected, the hospital stocks cratered.
Mm-hmm.
So they're the ones, and it was a saying by Rahm Emanuel when he was cutting this deal in the dark of the night. We'll let you see what's in the plan. When we passed the plan, all the nefarious things they did to get it passed, the Louisiana Purchase, the Cornhusker, they bought all their own senators.
What was her name?
Mary Landrieu in Louisiana and the Nebraska guy, they all paid them off to vote for it. Within their own party, these were Democrats they had to pay off to vote for it. And then what Rahm Emanuel famously basically said to people, the AMA and the drug company said, come here, we're going to do this thing. You're either at the table or you're on the table. So he threatened them, of course they're also donating money, pharmaceuticals donating money. It's all, and never let a good crisis go to waste. And I think the way it was rushed through there, the way they did it, and the way it ended up I've been saying this for years. I think you can see the death of it. It just doesn't work that way. People like to make their own choices. A free market has done more than any government ever has to benefit people, to help people's lives better. And so let a free market system really operate with cross-state lines. I know Blue Cross won't like that here, but cross-state lines, competition. You do Geico, you can do State Farm, you can do USAA on your car insurance. No one complains about their car insurance, really.
No.
Competition.
I've got USAA, they're fine.
Yeah, you bring TVs, cost of TVs have gone down, calculators, computers, anything in the free market system has gone down. What has gone up? Healthcare, which the government controls. Anything the government, wets their beak in goes up in price because there's always payola to be paid to the and your cable bills. I mean, I know you got EP, whatever it is here in town, which is
fantastic.
Good. Yeah, it's great.
We don't watch TV. We just watch
this. Well, I actually cut my cord. I just have the
We
internet.
go on Netflix.
Yep.
Yeah.
I use Netflix and all that.
And you can get the HD, beautiful HD, antenna and get all the major channels.
That's what I've done.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I have a big old. I got
Yeah.
it from Amazon. I actually got it delivered to my home. He set it up in the
He gets
window.
everything from Amazon.
Oh,
He has
I never leave
boxes
my
of
couch. That's
snacks
why.
at his house
Yeah.
from Amazon.
Yeah, there were diapers from Amazon.
Well, I told you to
way
do
it's
that.
going.
Yeah.
The way
You're
it's
welcome.
going.
But the thing that really, you talked about the 26-year-olds now, you can be on your parents' insurance. I've always wondered, is that not pushing adulthood in
Right.
essence off? You got, there's two things that
The answer is yes.
you've got.
Right.
Yeah.
Parents pay your cell phone bill,
Right.
and parents now paying your insurance till you're 26. My
I
contention
know.
is that it's not 18 anymore. It's
you're
not
not pushing them out
21.
of the nest soon
It's
enough.
now 26 until you're officially an adult.
Yeah,
in
and we just
America.
celebrated
No,
the
it's
75th anniversary of Iwo
crazy.
Jima, the Japanese war. The
Bunch of 18-year-olds.
18-year-olds back then were shores of Normandy, and they're getting bombed at Pearl Harbor, and they're fighting. They turn
Married kids.
Now they're the kids in the basement playing Xbox, whining to his mom upstairs. Where's my laundry?
Where's my food?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we've raised there's been a wussification of America, and again, I think Trump appealed to people a little bit by being a bit of a Clint Eastwood type,
Yeah.
like a little bit.
Hard
America's kind of tired of being coddled, and college campuses do it, and everyone has their safe zones and their fears, and I think people are finally got a little backbone. So, he's a fruitcake, but let's go with him and see what happens.
My safe zone was my dorm room. If I felt threatened, I would go back to my dorm room in college. We didn't have specially designated.
Ron was asking me where I was from. I said Lakeland, but I haven't lived there since I was 17, and I have had a job and paid for my own cars and where I lived.
And your
Right.
insurance?
got scholarships. Yeah. Like, I mean, my parents had 4 kids. They're like,
Yeah,
see
you
you
have a
later.
house at
See you
18.
later. If I go home now, my mom, I'd be like, I'm hungry. She's like,
Get it.
get up.
Okay, you know where the fridge is?
She's like, which one are you? Yeah.
By doing that, the 26, it encourages them to be kind of on the dole for much longer, and they have this sense of entitlement that they're owed this for some reason. I think the left, I'm sorry to say, the left doesn't call that because they're going to forgive your loans. And the other big thing that they need to really think about, they said, well, the student loans are too big. College is too expensive. I mean, that's the problem. We got these BS degrees that you get at college, $50,000 a year in debt. You come out
I know,
$200,000.
it's so
yesterday.
I mean, that's the reason I went to a state school, and they paid for me to go there.
Right.
And
Most
they don't-
people don't do that. Though. A lot of people end up with a
I
lot of
know.
debt. The average
I know.
student loan debt is
I didn't think I'd be able to pay
1.2
it.
trillion right now, higher than credit card debt. 1.2 trillion. Credit card debt's around $1 trillion.
But that's the difference too. Like, I was fearful that I wouldn't be able to pay it back, and nobody was going to be there to bail me out.
Right.
So I went the other way, and I got paid to go to a state school where I got accepted to like Northwestern. Maybe should have gone there,
Yeah,
but
journalism's
I would
great
have.
there.
I know.
Yeah.
So instead,
You'd have a
I went
much
to
more debt.
FAMU.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a good, smaller journalism school near.
You'd have
Tallahassee.
about 100,000 debt right now in the
Or
same
more.
job.
Right.
It's pretty much the way it comes down, and it's not
Yeah.
dischargeable bankruptcy. It's nothing they don't tell you. The government's like a loan shark. They suck you in.
You can go to bankruptcy, but you're still going to owe that money
That's
no
the
matter
senior
what.
thing when you come out of bankruptcy is you're still on debt. So I mean, it's a very politically popular thing. We're going to forgive some of it, let it go, whatever. That's also not a good lesson. You borrow money and not have to pay it back. At 18 years old, when you sign your student loan debt, at that age, a kid will finance a tattoo. I mean, they'll finance. You shove paperwork in front of an 18-year-old while
Oh, yeah.
technically
Right.
an adult.
Unless there's nobody you think is going to, like the government or your parents, if you don't think there's going to be someone to bail
Well,
you.
if you don't think you're going to be held responsible for something, your behavior will change.
Right.
Whether or not you ultimately are or not. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
You'll behave in a, frankly, a less responsible manner on the
Right.
aggregate. Maybe not everybody. There are probably some good people out there who would still pay even if they didn't have to. But
the notion that your family maybe should pony up people who know you to pay your way through college. And too, colleges, I mean, I could teach math, dirt, and a stick in the dirt. I mean, I don't know why colleges cost so much. I mean, I'm on 2 college boards, and it's gone up exponentially, twice the rate of inflation, and all the buildings are paid for. I don't know why it costs so much. They have a lot of administration.
It seems like it just keeps going up and up and up.
Well, we had in Tennessee, and we were talking yesterday about this big push toward how did we got all these kids in traditional 4-year liberal arts institutions learning about basket weaving or whatever it is. And meanwhile, we got a shortage of plumbers, we got a shortage of welders, and so Bill Haslam, of course, in Tennessee is attempting to offset the perverse incentives that are driving people to get degrees they don't need with a different incentive to pay for the Tennessee Promise, pay for 2 years of technical college or community college so people can learn how to do useful stuff that's desperately demanded right now.
And then a high school here in
as a libertarian, I don't know how you feel about that because you've got these incentives over here, and you're creating a new incentive. Versus
I've written about it, and I was on the board of regents in Tennessee. When Lamar Alexander was governor, he appointed me to the board. I saw it. We actually got rid of some. Who needs another English degree from MTSU? Do we really need?
With apologies to our friends.
It's a big school. I should have said that one. Let me pick a small one. UT Martin. Let's go to UT Martin. Everybody loves it, but do it on your own. I mean, you have to pay $50,000 to read Chaucer. I mean, I don't think you have to do that.
The Catcher in the Rye.
Yeah, you can do it. It's at the
Start
library.
with Canterbury Tales.
It's at the library for free. And so when I was on the board, what they did is they had technical schools that helped bring Nissan to Smyrna, Tennessee, which started the whole beginning of all the things. And what Volkswagen is apparently doing here in town, the way I understand it, they are teaming with the junior college to create the job trained people they want.
They have some of the same machines that you might be using at Volkswagen or another automaker, and you can learn how to operate those machines and fix them and program them and do all that stuff.
Yeah, and they're good employees, and they come out, and I think Volkswagen pays for some of them. Now you got the Atlas car coming, and the reason that Volkswagen almost went under is this EPA thing they got caught on, and they're going to pay billions, and they could have shut down America there.
Yeah,
so and no one even, first of all, if it was so important on the EPA stuff that Volkswagen was doing, why did it take 15 years for somebody to figure it out?
Well, it was a couple of guys at like some small research university who figured it out. It wasn't the EPA. It was a couple of there was somebody doing their like college dissertation or something and measuring things coming out of exhaust pipes, and they said, wait a second, this isn't right, and they kicked it over to the EPA
and
eventually. But it was just a couple of dudes who busted Volkswagen.
Sounds like something you would do.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, that's the way America should be. And with the internet today and the bloggers and all the egalitarian nature of information flow is good, because in the old days that would have been buried or somehow buried or bought off, etc. And it's probably good that people know that. They pay their fine. The government will shake them down for money. It'll go to the federal government. It won't probably go much to the people that were affected.
The information age.
It's good.
The digital age, but we were kind of disputing over that. I mean, it's just all political, but there's a high school here in Dade County where they're saying an official said some high school students aren't meant for more.
Right.
Well, aren't meant for more than high school, and I thought that was a little bit.
I think so. Maybe
I know,
maybe on to
but
something.
Just
So
like,
for half
how
the day,
how do you judge? How do you identify someone? You're not meant for more than.
But the other side of that is blow smoke up their skirt their whole life, so you can do so much more.
I'm in the
They spend their whole life mad. I think the reason women are always mad at men is all these Hugh Grant,
get ready.
all the Hugh Grant romantic comedies, right? He's the single guy available in the brownstone in New York, working at the publishing company, and she's the frumpy Renee Zellweger, and it always kind of works out. As we know, there's a lot of Hugh Grants that are single in America. They're there for the taking. So women, and he's romantic. He does all the romantic things. He puts a burden on men. I'm telling you, it's tough.
That's interesting that women would be that
measure up to Hugh Grant.
idealistic.
Well, if
you know what?
about
I like the real Hugh Grant.
the one chasing the hookers down Hollywood Boulevard.
Wasn't he caught in a restroom?
Yeah,
like
Brown. What's her name?
Yeah.
Something Brown.
So that's where your mind. See, I don't. My
That's
mind
the reality of
doesn't.
Hugh
My mind
Grant.
doesn't really go there with him, but
You
I
like
guess
the
yours
hooker?
does.
That's when
no,
you had to
I
go on
like
Dave
his.
Letterman and
I like
apologize.
his English.
Leno,
I like his British.
Oh, that's right,
Leno.
Leno, yeah, and he was like sulking there, but
It was a great
that was the
apology. That should
mugshot.
go down
It
in
was
history
good.
as management of a crisis.
That's right.
He's owned it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I
Look, I'm
like
an
about him.
idiot.
Yeah.
That's what I like about him.
Yeah.
And I like he's like,
Yeah.
I am who I am. I'm kind of like crotchety, and I
Elizabeth Hurley wasn't
do
enough
this,
for him.
and, well, you know what? Sometimes the most beautiful woman is not enough for a
work out.
man.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter who she is. But no, I like how he owns it. He's real. I think he has like 2 kids of the same age but he's like, yeah, I do.
Yeah,
Whatever.
that's what it is.
Born at the same time to different women.
Who cares? But if you own who you are, I like you.
Yeah, and he did. He did a great job of that. He's starting to make a comeback. I've seen him in more movies recently. He's starting to make a comeback again.
And I don't like those I hate those romantic comedies, the idealistic
This
stuff.
is the time
I saw
of year.
Nocturnal Animals this weekend.
Was that a kid movie?
No, and it was actually billed as a seductive thriller. It's just disturbing.
Wasn't seductive for you?
It's beautiful, but too disturbing. Rape is not really seductive.
Really?
Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Note to Hollywood.
Just note to you guys.
Her La La Land's good. Her La La
Office
Office Party's not good. I was hoping that would be good. I like a comedy. I'm more of an animal.
I don't like those blockbuster comedies
Yeah.
with Jennifer Aniston either.
Yeah,
but I do like Justin Theroux, and that show is so good. We talk about it. The Leftovers. You gotta watch.
Leftovers
that.
is good.
It's dark. Very good.
Yeah.
I like the darker side of things. Ellis.
50 Shades of Grey. You like that
No,
one?
that
Not
is a
so much?
blockbuster BS movie.
Yeah.
And the book, I mean, it's kind of just pathetic, you guys.
Yeah.
Go for something.
We were talking about there's a bondage club in Missouri.
That's right.
Cool,
Yeah,
yeah.
that has a church moving next to it. Church moving.
But the church doesn't mind.
They're not
they're
combining forces.
No, they're fighting each other in court.
Oh, they are fighting each other now?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're a bondage club, and I think they issued a restraining order, but the bondage club just kind of liked it more.
Yeah.
Kind of just turned them on a little bit, so it didn't
Yeah.
help at all. But I think the libertarian side of things is you know, you can do what you want to do, you don't hurt someone else. I would think a bondage club next to a church is a little much. I think if I was on the council, I think I'd let it. You guys really need to move.
The classic libertarian
That'll be a
argument
big
is
problem here.
do whatever
Yeah.
you want that doesn't infringe on somebody else's right to do whatever they want, you know,
Right.
within the Bill of Rights and
Right.
so on and so
Mm-hmm.
forth. And so that's always the hard one is when you got, it's like you're not really hurting anybody, but you kind of are.
Right,
But
maybe
it's
you're-
like, are you offending?
Offending,
Everyone's so
yeah.
Offending is
offended by
not-
everything.
Is that going to go away, or do you see? I don't know.
I'm
I know you
so
don't have a crystal
offended.
ball, but
Trump
but
is not
everything.
offended.
No, he's offensive.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
a difference.
Maybe he'll immunize everybody else who's just mildly offensive.
Well, it's the wussification of America. I think
Yeah.
people are, and they push being offensive or being racist to if you don't agree with Obamacare and it's Obama's bill, you're racist because Obama did it. No, that's not the argument. No, I just
Right.
don't like national health care. Didn't work in Cuba. Cuba, the great socialist Castro just died, and they're pushing him down the street. The car breaks. They can't even. I went to Cuba about 4 months ago. It's a disaster.
Really?
It is a litmus test of what socialism does to a country. No one has any incentive to do anything. It's decimated a beautiful country. And if our country wants to go that direction, it's not racist to say we don't want to go that direction. We want to be a strong, vibrant, capitalist society that provides for people through growth and jobs, not welfare, because welfare can only happen for so long. Margaret Thatcher famously said, socialism's great until you run out of other people's money. And that's what's going to happen. It will ultimately happen here. And there's no country in the world. Venezuela's a disaster right now.
Yeah.
Anywhere that's tried to go with socialism, Hitler, people forget about this, but he was a socialist. He provided national health care. He had a lot of the same tenets that are easy sells to people, and it always goes the wrong way. And Castro's a murderous thug. Che and all these other people, and then they're celebrated by Kaepernick and the left as some great heroes. And if you really read history, where it gets back to the school system, you really got to teach that, because no better example than Cuba.
Do you think kids should major in history versus political science?
Yeah, I think history is a great way to do it. I wouldn't
'Cause it always
come out
repeats
$200,000
itself,
bucks in debt to do it. I think the same
Yeah.
history you study at Northwestern is the same one you do at UTC, and so I don't think you go get indoctrinated at college and to do that.
What about that versus political science?
Look at science. It's the same as history a little bit, I think. If you like it, do it. I tell students, just look where
Just
the
know
jobs
English.
are. Yeah, look where the jobs are. Well, English, they're more liberal arts people are kind of in demand right now because computer systems are driven off in Twitter, and the way things are
True.
going are driven off of your ability to think and do. But I look at the jobs that are out there. I hear a kid going to college.
Tech jobs.
Yeah, to study something crazy like gender studies. I hear, and I just cringe. I said, "No, please don't come out." Well,
They didn't have that yet when I was in school. We just called it anthropology.
Yeah.
But was that not okay to say?
We call it fraternity house.
That's definitely not okay to say.
Well, a fraternity house is gender studies for most guys. I mean, or sorority house.
Are you feeling? Is this we need to set up a safe zone? I'm
You
sorry.
right? You all right?
I think,
No,
Good.
no. Political science is really history in many ways. I don't know where do you go. You go in, you become a part of government, which will probably not be growing under this administration. I think less people will be going into government, and it's not a bad. If you're rich enough, like Thomas Jefferson said one time, he said, "We work hard at farming and agriculture, so our kids can go study English literature and French." So if you're wealthy enough, your parents are wealthy enough, you
whatever you
enjoy
want.
yourself in
Go to
political
Europe.
science or whatever. But if
Go paint on the
you're
street.
like I was and apparently you were, you got to come out and get a job and think
Yeah.
about where you're going with things, and you got to make a living one day.
You don't have a choice.
Yeah.
Or,
You can always be politically active. You don't have to be sanctioned by the state. You know.
Well, looking ahead, I mean, what do you see? And I know we can't really monopolize your time this whole afternoon, but I am curious.
Why?
What do you see? The next Trump's got at least 4 years, I guess. And we've got a Republican Congress and Senate. Assuming these recounts don't do anything, which I doubt they will. So I mean, it's still kind of unclear to a lot of people what's on the agenda. I know is the fence real? Are they going to build a fence? All this stuff. Trump seemed to immediately back off of doing. So what's really going to happen? I mean, have you got any indication of
the fence? There'll be electronic components of it. He'll enhance the fence. He won't build a solid wall. You can't get easements right away to do that. It's not doable from the beginning. And so his was a theoretical thing. Someone said it best. I think some reporters said it best. The liberal media took him literally, and America took him generally. Like this is the direction I want it to go. Here are the problems. And blue collar America, who's losing their jobs to immigrants. If you're a blue collar person, you used to work in a construction site in Ottawa working on houses, and you were getting $17 an hour, and all of a sudden there's someone willing to do it for 12 and 8 and 6 and 4 and whatever from illegals. You're mad at that, and that was the reason the Midwest voted for Trump. And so it is an issue. And if you don't think unchecked immigration matters to a nation, ask the Native Americans. I mean, they had this place before we got here. So there is some issues with America wanting to make it as it is. The radical Islam thing, I'm very dovish. I'm not at war. I think the fact that we're going to get sucker punched by radical Islam, but we're a great country bordered by two great oceans. I think the worry is just Sean Hannity worried about fighting, going these wars in Iraq. And I don't want to send my son to get his legs blown off in some mud hut over there, some scared guy who thinks he's going to get 72 virgins. And it's a religious war. And if you look at the history of mankind, religious wars don't end up well. No. But we're going to be safe here. It's the cost of doing business. There won't be any major attacks. We'll be fine. So I think and actually to his credit, Trump was against the Iraq war. I think, and maybe not initially the first week or two, but I think certainly very quickly thereafter.
And he's gone on recently talking about the CIA, how they may have blown that diagnosis in terms of the weapons of mass destruction and things that were never quite dug up at least not in the places they were supposed to be.
Yeah, it costs us $1 trillion and 7,000 lives. It's $1 trillion social studies lessons. The Shias and the Sunnis don't get along. And Saddam Hussein, who we displaced over there, was a secular guy. He didn't really care. And he basically was a bouncer. If you're on a bar in a bad part of town, you better have a good bouncer. And Saddam Hussein and Mubarak and others are good bouncers. And do we want to pull at that thread? We pull the thread, like Colin Powell famously said. It's like the Pottery Barn theory. You go in there, you break it, you own it, and we broke it, and we can own it now.
So still a lot to be determined about Trump. Now, people
and he has all of his Trump. You're looking into his campaign promises and saying what he's done so far, what he says he's going to do, and what are your hopes. So that's all on your website, ronaldhart.com. And you can be linked there through Facebook.
And where else can people learn more about you or see you on
Orange County Register will be on the Greg Gutfeld show in early January. Just do CNN. I'll be doing some NBC and CNN tomorrow in Atlanta, and so just around, just whatever people like, good people.
Keep your TV running.
Yeah, no, it's not that much. It's not like it's not like My Pillow.
Pick up a copy of the Times Free Press. We carry Ron here, and we enjoy them.
Have you done any of these other live talks on Facebook?
No. Orange County Register did one time. I did one with them. But you guys are pretty cutting edge with this stuff. I like this idea. You got reporters embedded in the field. You got it all kind of going on. It's a natural.
That's us. We've had to selfie in the field for serious incidents.
As Trump found out with Twitter, you got to be willing to take chances. Fred Barnes, the famous guy, and he tells a great story on the board with him, and he tells a great story. He was just a Baltimore Sun, whatever it was, journalist. Back the old days, you wrote articles, you went to your office, you wrote your next article, you went to your office. He started going on the McLaughlin Report and started doing commentary, and we talked about the Best of Enemies documentary, which is a fantastic documentary about Gore Vidal and
William F. Buckley Jr.
William F. Buckley. But he tells people that they got mad at him. Journalists got mad. Very provincial thinking. Got mad at him for doing other things with journalism.
He was crossing that line. He wasn't just staying in his box and staying inside the cones.
Right. He was on TV debating the issues, and he said to them one time, he said, look, and he was making a lot of money doing it, and he said, look, he told the whole journalist community, I up my salary So up yours. That's what he told me.
I like that.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, he used to report. I guess when the Metro project in D.C. was first kind of taking off, he worked for, I think it was some evening paper that doesn't exist anymore. I don't even remember the name. But he was writing about that and just being a daily beat reporter. And now the guy, he's executive editor of a pretty good magazine, The Weekly Standard. He's on TV a lot, on Fox and other stations.
I know, it is such a question. I was speaking with a news director in Nashville about that. Like, so are you still a journalist? Like, yes, you're still telling.
I would argue yes, because he still writes pretty good articles. I read some of his stuff on the Weekly Standard.
Right, but he was asking that about this kind of stuff too. Like, you're still getting information out.
Well, that depends on who you
telling
ask.
Stories.
You know, some journalists would say no. You know,
yeah, I know. I disagree with that.
Well, there's the newsroom that's when, what, where, and how. You know, that you just report on a bus turning over and Ottawa, and then there's the opinion side, which I think most people have to make pretty clear. MSNBC and Rachel Maddow is certainly opinion, and clearly Fox after Brett Baer's a journalist supposedly.
It has.
He doesn't do a lot of opinion.
I see what you're saying about that.
Yeah.
It depends. But a journalist can still go out and cover something that's happening and then sit at a round table on a different day.
And talk about it. Yeah.
But it is a matter of opinion. But I tell my kids at my journalism class at Chat State, hi guys, I'm always like, tell a story how you would say it, whatever you're writing about.
Yeah, go home and tell your mom about what happened at school that day.
But
what
you have to find
first?
your own voice, even if whatever, like it has to be your way of telling a story. So there's different ways of telling stories now.
I had an editor, Dan Woods, who worked here for a while, and I would turn in a story, and he would say, "Ellis, it's not completely clear what this is about. What are you talking about?" And I would say, and I would excitedly start to describe it to him. He would say, "Well, then write it that way." Yeah, why didn't you write it that way?
It's
really, it is. It's really
you have
the way
to be really
naturally
vulnerable with yourself, and
Yeah. And you have in-house editorial people here, and you have journalists that are covering things, and there's a little blur in the middle with a few people that handle both. But you know that's the way it is. And the fake news has been a big topic, right? The fake news. So so you're either writing true stories of when, where, how, and what, or you're giving your opinion on what happened the other day. But be clear when you do it. I think that's where the line blurs. Yeah.
I agree with that too. And then there's some stories like you're talking about the bus crash. It's okay, in my opinion, for a journalist to say this is really sad. Like that's not it.
You're allowed to
It's
emotions.
It's sad.
And there's another way to go with it. Say, hey, the Republicans didn't fund the bus maintenance program, and so you can go that way. There's a lot of ways to go with political stories. We talked about the Second Amendment shooting earlier. A lot of papers will bury that because it doesn't fit their worldview. And what you cover, and more importantly, what journalists don't cover, and where your priorities are, it tells a lot about. And there can be, within the paper, not the op-ed side, but a lot of bias either way. What you decide to cover, what you decide not to cover, and things that don't fit your view.
I've worked for stations, no names mentioned, where you know where they lie.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And our readers have become very vocal in holding us accountable, I would say, for that. Especially with this format specifically. We're able to get instantaneous feedback on whether we're right or wrong or got our facts wrong.
And you've done a great job because you have the right side of the newspaper on the op-ed, you have the left. You don't blur the two and try to pick out what you want. You're all leftists, so that's fair. And you merge two papers. You guys do a great job for a city of the size. I think it's one of the biggest newsrooms in the state still.
It is.
We got the best view.
And we're the only not Gannett owned.
Yeah, we're the only newspaper that's not owned by the fantastic Gannett Company, which has taken over the Murfreesboro paper.
Maybe your overlord one day. You're really careful the way you said that was.
and the Memphis Commercial Appeal, all owned by. So, if you like independent journalism, keep it.
And you guys got a statewide reach too. You can reach some things. And there's been a lot of news in Chattanooga for the last 2 years with the Islamic shooting and bus and whatever she got. What was it?
That was a crazy one because the military, members of the military on a military base could not carry weapons. That one, I learned that for the first time on July 16th, 2015. I was, really?
And that was where your opinion and your thing comes in. Should they bring it up for debate? Should they be able to? And I think it's the world. I think they will in 2 or 3 years. They should be able to. Anyone should carry a gun. It should be our military.
We need to follow up with that story actually because
there's some legislative stuff recently where they said, okay, some people can apply, and so they're kind of opening it up a little bit. You can. If you could, your head.
Just another thing I need to add to the list.
Put it on the list. We'll go.
I have a long list.
Go down to the military base and ask them.
Yes.
Recruiting station. Yeah, there's a soft soft target. Any shooter is going to go to a soft target where they know you can't have guns. Why wouldn't you? Every place there's been a shooting, has been places with. I have a carry permit. I don't like that, but I have a carry permit. So I'm a big advocate of the Second Amendment, but also a lot of gun education, and it's not for everybody.
Why do you think I'm not going to like that?
They don't like guns. You're not big guns.
I don't like guns.
There you go. Well, it stops and ends there.
So there's an opinion.
There you go. You don't like guns. So you should have no guns in the world. There's 300 million guns in the world. You get rid of them?
No, I don't. I personally don't like guns.
You want to charm them when they come after you?
No, they actually, you know what? I had to shoot a gun one time for a story. It was a skeet shooting story, and I'd never held a gun before, and it actually scared me. Like, I felt like I wanted to cry. And they said a lot of people, women, have that reaction. Like, it's scary to them. So then I have spoken to people who are big gun proponents. A senator here, Bo Watson, he said, well, if you were to learn how to use a gun and you felt comfortable with a gun, you wouldn't react that way. And that's a valid point. I do think people who are responsible people, like you seem like you may be,
taking chances,
could handle a gun responsibly. I don't think it's responsible to have a massive amount of guns in your home and you have an unstable teenager who grabs one and goes shoots up an elementary school. I don't think that's responsible at all.
There's not a single gun law on the books that would have prevented almost any of these shootings that have happened recently. So there's 300 million guns in America. They're not going to get rid of them. It's a big part of what we do. So the question is, what do you do to control it? And
that's the question.
Permits are good, and people with guns. At the right Ohio State, there was a policeman, off-duty policeman, happened to be near with a gun, maybe saved some lives. And then, the last guy was cutting people with a knife and run over with a car. You can't outlaw cars. So it's a tough debate. There's people that defy. I always say things divide people: God, guns, and gays. Where you stand on those big issues, which is also. I grew up in Columbia, Tennessee. God, guns, and gays was also my high school prom thing. It's kind of a weird deal. So I'm aware of that situation. Those are things that basically divide people almost invariably, and also calls for heated arguments at the Thanksgiving table where there's knives very close.
There were some discussions this year about families that had.
I would only do friends.
Divided, there was a lot of Friendsgivings this year because of the election. Apparently, some people were very strongly
and
for
I
Hillary.
had it with my gay friends.
Oh, that's good. Republicans, no.
Log cabin Republicans.
Log cabin Republicans, yeah. Really? No.
Not yet.
Although I think you're going to see. Look what Radical Islam, that shooting in the Orlando nightclub against the gay nightclub. I think if you really dig into the facts, I think the gays should, and I'm pro-gay marriage early on, the consternation of religious right in the South where I write columns out there. Look, you can't tell people what
Everybody
to do.
wants to get married.
Yeah, a couple of gym teachers in Ottawa with a joint checking account, that ain't our problem right now, And they should, let them be miserable too.
That's what I was like,
only fair.
Why does everyone want to get married so much?
I don't think they really wanted to get married.
Marriage is pretty fun.
It's such a money maker.
They want us to want the right to do it. I think when you told people they can't do Smith and Wesson stopped the day Trump got elected, went down 13%.
Really?
Because Obama was the biggest gun salesman for Smith and Wesson because he kept thinking gun control is going where people are buying it. There's more guns in people's houses now, probably unsecure, bought at the margin because of their fear of Obama taking their Second Amendment right away than there would be if you say, hey, do what you want to do.
Yeah, and now you have all these women going and getting
pink guns.
No, they're going to their OBs and getting all of these permanent birth control because of Trump. They're like, they're afraid he's going to take away some sort of abortion or whatever. No,
so
people
unfounded.
Literally on Facebook are like, I'm making OB. Oh, I know, right? But but I've seen that on Facebook. Like,
maybe because Arnold Schwarzenegger's taking over his show. You got to be careful there. I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. There's so many unfounded fears. And why do they have that fear? Why do you think they have that fear? These are rational people.
I don't know if they're rational. I mean, they're on Facebook. So.
That's true.
I just don't. And the same thing, the fear of the right of Obama taking their guns and some things they thought Obama was going to do was irrational. The birth movement was stupid. I thought it was one of the stupidest things ever. I mean, people have paranoia both ways. And and the problem is you get an echo chamber. You say you weren't only with your friends over Thanksgiving. You get an echo chamber of people just like you. Then you never get a diverse. I watch CNN, get the New York Times. I watch other forms of communication. You can't close yourself off because you get into a college university with tenure. That's how you get that way.
Right.
You get a group of friends. You're always reinforcing each other's proclivities and inclinations, and you don't see another point of view that's logically thrashed out.
No, I think it is good to experience different people, but sometimes when you're just wanting to have like a fun night, you know,
Yeah.
you're gonna hang out with your close friends.
I love hanging around
You
with
know?
liberals. You know, I think they're cute. They're fun. You can toy with them a little bit. Like
One of our viewers, Ryan Morrow, said from gun control to baby control. Wow. And I think that's what I'm going to put on the headline of this
Guns and babies.
of this piece when we post it to YouTube here in a little.
Right.
Gun control to baby control. We've really covered a lot, and I don't want to monopolize your time this afternoon. I know you got other things to do. You've been extremely kind.
Are there any other valid comments?
Responsibility is key. That comes with training. That's something we're in terms of the gun control. These are coming up and watching these roll in. We have some blame the people hiring illegal immigrants. We covered that a little bit. Not the ones looking to better themselves. You know, America was a nation of immigrants, I guess, is the point there.
Okay.
So people just kind of sounding off on some of the
Okay.
issues. Harry Hartman wanted to know how your golf game is doing. I know you're an
Not
avid
today.
golfer. Yeah,
Not
bad,
We
bad
wanted to go
skies
out and
today.
play
Hard.
with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day today. You have great golf courses in this town.
The honors course is a really nice one. That's a very nice one. We also have some not so nice ones where I like to go, where you have to kind of brush the rocks and mud away from so you can get a good clean
He always
hit.
likes to take the road less traveled. Trust me.
Less traveled.
I've been stuck on mountains, scared for my life,
Yeah.
going through
We
fires.
chased some wildfires.
No
Oh,
gas
really?
in the car. Yeah, so he prefers those kind
Yeah, I
of.
hope you don't run out of gas when you're in the middle of a wildfire.
I
That's,
know,
that's
it's a
always
little
scary.
concerning.
But we didn't. We're still here. We
Yes,
lived.
thank you. Thank you. But let's go golfing next time. I'm
Next
not
time.
I'm not very good, but
If they'll let us. I know some of them have rules about electronic
Sure.
devices on the course, so we'd have to.
rules.
Rules, yeah.
Rules.
Well, you know, I'm not a big rule
Or-
person.
me
I'm
neither.
deregulation type.
We agree
Yeah,
on that.
yeah.
Rules and authority.
Not a big
No.
fan. Not a big fan.
And you know I don't like any paid parking.
Yeah, I've never known
Park-
Lesley to park where she's supposed to. That's something
I'm paying. Yeah, I don't pay for electricity because if I can't see it, I don't know.
It's time to go to bed when you can't see
Yeah, I
anymore.
can't
right?
see it. I'm not going to pay for that. So,
Well, we could go on and all day, but we want to thank you
Good to
for
be here.
joining us and sharing your writing and opinions and insight. Smart man. I can
appreciate it.
tell.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
All right, man. Thanks a lot.
See you
Okay.
guys.
Bye.